Hey everyone, my name is Shaunak Bhide and I'm responsible for go-to-market here at Xampr. In the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to talk you through a concept of platform of platforms using Xampr's no-code application development platform as a fundamental and using concept of human process automation above that to build your own platform. Excited? Let's get right into it. So before we get into the platform of platforms concept and how that comes together, let's understand Xampr a little bit. So Xampr was designed and developed as the next generation no-code application development platform powered by HPA or Human Process Automation. Human process automation is a concept that we at Xampr feel passionately about. What is human process automation? Well, it is exactly looking at the edge of the enterprise. So your last mile execution processes, last mile working processes, etc. And looking at getting the most out of those. And these are typically processes that have been left behind by your digital transformation, by your enterprise transformation, which is focusing more on mid to back office and standardizing processes there. The last mile has often a lot of tribal knowledge that only exists with your blue collar workers or the workers that are employees that are executing those last mile processes. These are not harnessed, these are never automated, there's never any business intelligence that you can gather or analytics that you can gather from it, no insights. And that's what exactly Xampr intends to deliver using the concept of human process automation. The platform itself tends to bring people, processes, and systems together. I mean, like any other platform. So there's no rocket science there. We do it slightly differently using the context of human process automation. So we look at a very friendly, people-friendly design. So intuitive UI and giving you tools to build your application on top of Xampr using designer tools, etc. We'll look at that in just a second on the next slide. But we give access to integration for common things that employees would use, these last mile processes executioners would use. For example, WhatsApp or any chat messaging service that they might be using. Access to things like IBPMS, so designing a very sexy and a sleek workflow is something that is possible out of the box with Xampr as well. If you look at processes, as I was mentioning earlier, you would have spent a fortune in terms of standardizing the mid and back office processes to get the most out of your existing investments, as well as make efficiency a key priority and execute on that in running of your business. And those processes are important, so you need not throw them away. What you can do is the last mile part of that can be executed on the Xampr platform, an application that you develop on top of it, and the backend processes and the backend systems then can get seamlessly connected without you having to spend costly amount of money in terms of integration, in terms of making sure it works properly and it gels properly, or have a very expensive change management process, for example. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, let me talk you through what does the platform give you out of the box. So go with the people aspect first. So you get access to a full-blown designer set of tools where you can build adaptive UIs. You can design with the user experience of the end user in mind, the edge worker or the last mile employee. You have designer tools. We can build templates that you would use for forms, for things that you gather frequently, design the workflow around that so you can have decision-making process embedded into those forms depending on certain conditions, etc. And again, you don't need to do any coding for that, and that's the beauty of the no-code application development platform. The system takes care of the coding for you. You just define the business rules, and the system will generate the application for you. You get access from a processes perspective. You would have had any backend ERP that is implemented. You get access to those processes and execution of those processes at the last mile using Xampr. You get integration that is built in. So using APIs and REST APIs, we can integrate with your existing ERP provider. Could be an SAP system, could be an Oracle system, could be a Force.com system, etc. You also get additional human process automation concepts or services around contextual chats, surveys, polls, etc., which typically come with collaboration software, and these come out of the box from an application development standpoint for you to consider and embed in the application that you're designing. We also offer out-of-the-box industrial IoT integration. We also work with a sensor provider, so if you don't have a sensor provider already in-house or that you're working with, we can certainly provide you a turnkey solution from a sensor perspective for your any IoT requirements. Obviously, when you've developed and designed services using these set of capabilities on a no-code application development platform, once you gather enough intelligence around it, the system can come up with suggestions on what are candidates for RPA, for example. You can benefit from the NLP, the natural language processing engine, as part of Xampr to build your own chatbots, as an example. Right? Similarly, AI concepts, machine learning, that can be embedded into the platform as well. Last but not the least, once you gather enough intelligence, you can run analytics insights, run predictive scenarios, etc., using Xampr as a base. Now, when you're looking at platform of platforms as a concept, you might be saying, well, why Xampr then? For sure, in the last few years, you have seen a number of low-code application development platforms that have hit the market. Now, they are, mind you, low-code, which means you do need some sort of coding expertise to work with them. Some of them, of late, also coming up with no-code concept, which is great for the industry and for the platform development as a whole, as a concept. I mean, there are a lot of studies out there. If you look at all of the major research firms, be it Gartner, be it Forrester, IDC, etc., you would see that they have covered no-code application development platforms already to a large degree and large amount of depth. I mean, there are some statistics out there like by 2024, almost 60+% of all enterprise applications that are developed will be developed on a no-code application platform. So you're talking about getting the power of developing and designing these apps more and more to people who don't know how to code. Now, what would you get out of working with Xampr? For sure, you have the ability and the same ability that others give from a no-code application development point of view. But what we believe is that the human process automation concept and the services that we have developed and the IP we have developed around it differentiates us from others. You can still get the same reduction in cost and improvement in productivity. However, you can differentiate your offering and design your application in a much better fashion using the human process automation concepts, which purely focus on the employee or the last mile worker. You call it blue collar worker. There are different terms that are used in the industry depending on which industry you are and which execution process you're looking at. But this is looking at them and putting them front and center of the platform development itself, and then looked at what would be their needs. So for example, contextual chats, the information that they gather that forms part of their tribal knowledge from their colleagues, from their co-workers, from their subordinates, from their bosses as well. And this is often not collected and it's not possible to capture that, but we are able to capture that using the HPA services. Things like giving them flexibility on the workflows itself in terms of designing and running those workflows, as well as to-do lists, surveys, polls, etc. So again, all the things that they would focus on in their day-to-day jobs, which are often and more often than not captured by any system, you can capture those interactions and then look at gathering intelligence from it and using that for the benefit of the enterprise itself, delivering results to improve productivity even further, improve efficiency even further, and differentiate yourself amongst the other applications which have been developed on other no-code platforms, not on Xampr, which cannot offer you this. Okay, so if you were to leverage Xampr's no-code application development platform and then develop an application or a platform on top, what would the potential architecture look like? So let's dive into it quickly. So you're here on the top, you're either a citizen developer or a partner developer, one of our partners that we partner with. So you have the industry IP, the industry know-how, you have the domain expertise, and you know what it takes to differentiate an edge process or an edge application, and you are about to look at Xampr as one of the development tools for doing that. What would Xampr give you? So obviously you have a multi-experience development platform interface. You get the designer tools that you can design adaptive UI and UX. You get the entire collaboration suite, as I was mentioning earlier, contextual chat, surveys, to-do lists, etc., which are part of our human process automation services. You can look at building blocks around track and trace. If you want location-based or geo-based services, even RFID, etc., you can embed them into your application development process. And the beauty of it, again, you don't have to code anything. You have to just build the business logic. So the IP that you bring in is what differentiates you, and it's going to differentiate your application, your platform. Um, Underneath that, you obviously have further access into the workflow design, the HP engine itself, some runtime services, AI, ML, NLP capabilities, so developing contextual chatbots, etc. Even when you've identified candidates for automation, you can do RPA on top of Xampr, design processes around that. If you want intuitive dashboards for your user as part of your process or part of your platform, you can build that using the analytics engine. And on the back end, the Xampr team and the platform itself takes care of the integration. So all the valuable data that resides in various systems, and we've just highlighted a few here. If you find some of them missing, definitely get in touch with us. We will be more than happy to develop an integration to the platform of your choice. Because at the end of the day, when we develop an integration, we will do so for everyone who is on the platform who wants to leverage integration to that particular technology or that particular application, and hence design their own application on top. So that will just enrich the Xampr platform in itself. So we are developing these APIs on a daily basis so that we can enrich the platform more and more. But some of the popular names that you see in terms of application development and enterprise applications, you would see that we've already developed integration for. Hence you could go about building your application, or which could potentially turn into a platform, and that's why the concept of platform of platforms comes in, and it's all sits on top of Xampr's no-code application development platform as a base, and then you sort of build your expertise that you built in terms of the industry IP. You can monetize that and position it to other customers, other partners, etc. Let's quickly take a look at the benefits. As I mentioned, the no-code application development platform is a very, very aggressively growing market. Even if you expand the definition to a low-code application development platform, it's going to be projected that it's going to be a $20 billion plus market by 2025. If you start early, you start now, developing with us without having the need to invest in training for the coding and the platform understanding, because ours is a truly no-code application development platform. You can focus on building your industry IP. The backend integration and the integration with existing applications and new applications that come around would be Xampr's team's responsibility, and that's the IP that we want to build, and you want to monetize as well. You can stick to your expertise, which is building on the industry IP or a customer segment IP, and still offer differentiating applications to your end customers. Lastly, if you're working with a customer in developing something very innovative, be it a business model, be it a business model process, etc., you can do that without having any boundaries as far as coding or platform or technology requirements are concerned. Those are taken care of by the Xampr system in the backend. Thank you for listening to this. I hope you found it useful. If you have any questions, please do reach out to us on LinkedIn, and we'll be happy to support you further. Thank you.